You're gonna love this one. What happens when an accomplished real estate investor with an appetite for comedy sees half-baked financial advice? You're about to find out because Ben Mallah's reaction to these online financial gurus is some of the most entertaining yet enlightening pieces of criticism I've seen in a long time. Not just that, I think what Ben says here almost gives you a snapshot of the many pitfalls that a real estate investor encounters in the market, which is why there's so much I need to tell you about. Of course, this is not financial advice, but subscribe to the channel for more discussions like this, and let's get into it.
Buying a house, worst investment you'll ever make in your entire life. Let's say you paid $1 million to buy a house. Average house here is $576. $576 is what you paid. Now you need 12% for broker fees. Let's say you keep the house 10 years. You need
Number one, the seller pays the broker. So you're not doing it as the buyer. The seller has to pay it, okay? Is it factored into the price? Maybe, but it's negotiable. And I have never heard in my career of a 12% broker's fee. Maybe he's tacking on some extra fee, I don't know. But in my world, the max is 6 for real estate, and that's for houses. 3 to the buyer's broker, 3 to the seller's broker, and that's negotiable. You know what I sell commercial real estate for sometimes? 1, 2, maybe 3% commission, and that gets split. Well, I guess we're dealing with big numbers, so I don't understand 12% commissions. I mean, that right away makes me think somebody's greasing the damn pot.
You need 10% in maintenance fees. It's 1% a year in maintenance fees. It's about 2% in property taxes every year. That's 20%. 2 times 10 is 20. And it's probably 7% to the bank, so that's 70%. Total those up, it's 112%. A $576,000 home will have to be sold for $1.2 million in 10 years. You're not going to sell it for that. To break even, dead money, and you had to put $100 grand down to do this deal. They're serving a master.
It depends on your lifestyle. You can't just say, this is the way you have to do shit. It depends on you. You have to determine what's best for your life. If you got a wife and 5 kids, you need a house. When you rent, all you do is paying somebody else's mortgage and their expenses on their property, so they end up with it for free.
Now granted, that 12% figure is almost unheard of as a broker fee in the traditional real estate market unless Grant Cardone thinks the buyer indirectly pays all of it. And since things could be a lot different for the ultra-high value properties in places like Palm Beach or Manhattan, perhaps that number moves up relative to what it normally is, but even apart from that, I think it's a debate that can be had until the cows come home, to buy or to rent a house. Now, I understand there's arguments on either side, and the decision can often change depending on a person's specific circumstances, but there's no doubt that this debate itself has changed a lot in the last 50 years to the point that the same old advice seldom even applies. For example, the median price of a house in 1975 was less than $40,000, with a median personal income of about $12,000 a year. That's less than 4 years' worth of income to afford a house. Right now, a median house price is more than $520,000, while wages have not caught up as fast, with a median personal income today at around $48,000. That stretches close to 10 years worth of earnings to be able to afford a house, and obviously much more when it's divided up as a mortgage just to have ownership over it. And as the world becomes so much more digitized and work becomes more virtualized, perhaps people will start to realize that being dynamic and nomadic with geographical flexibility is a lot more important than tying yourself up to one place for 30 or 40 years. That's not to say that there is no problems with renting or even using the rental real estate problem to make money at this next example is clear.
I've owned over 2,000 pieces of real estate in my life. I've got several $100 million worth of real estate today. One thing I know for sure is if you tell me the renters are going to pay the payments for you, that tells me you've never managed rental property. That tells me you've never done it. That's 100%. You are a novice at best, an idiot at worst. And I mean, that's the truth.
Who the else is gonna pay it?
Anybody who's ever had a renter or been a renter, and I have both, I've been a renter too, it knows that sometimes renters don't pay. Sometimes
of course,
there's cancer.
Sometimes you don't sell as much in your store. Sometimes the world is sometimes, you idiot. And why are you calling people idiots? You're the idiot, you egotistical maniac. Who is this obnoxious guy?
That's Dave Ramsey. That's the guy.
This guy is talking down to people. Don't talk down to people. Talk up to people. Who the else is gonna pay you but the rent? Of course, sometimes. You know what? If you do your job right and you screen your tenants and you put the right tenant in the right place, everything will be fine. Are you gonna have a vacancy once in a while? Of course. Is somebody gonna run into trouble once in a while? Of course. It's part of the game. Life ain't perfect. You allow for certain things to happen when you're in real estate if you know what the doing and not just talking about it. Come check out my portfolio, baby.
I just love how passionate Ben is about this. I'd be willing to pay a ridiculous amount of money just to go see Ben head on head with David Ramsey on real estate. Both of them have such divergent approaches to real estate, not just as a business, but also in their own lives, and perhaps two of the greatest points of disagreement would be owning versus renting a house, and whether using debt as a means of leverage is justified. Ben Mallah's real estate portfolio is nearly $500 million, and it's probably safe to say that he falls in the same camp on debt in real estate as someone like Robert Kiyosaki. Both of them have been critical of Dave Ramsey and his complete aversion to taking on debt, even if it's used as a means to compound investment beyond what is possible by liquid cash. But on the other end of the risks of renting out those properties, I do kind of agree with Ben Mallah here. There's going to be risks in every business model, and that's partly what you're getting paid for. Sure, there's some shocks to the landlord confidence we've seen, especially with some legislation as a result of the lockdowns in 2020, but perhaps that's not a sufficient reason to dislike the rental model of real estate investment entirely.
What was your first big payday? $5 million. Took me about $70 to create it, and I did it in about 20 days. 21 years old, just moved to Florida. So I meet these two top realtors at WCI. They pick me up, we're on our way to Naples, Florida to have lunch. They get a phone call and they say, hey, do you mind if we make a quick stop? We pull into this apartment complex. The owner of the property has about 305 units, and they're converting them from apartments to condominiums. Come back to the house, do a little research, that in Florida, you have first right of refusal if you have a current lease. I draft letters. Your apartment is going to be converted to a condo. If you do not, I will give you $1,000 in relocation if you assign me your rights. I get hundreds of people assigning me their rights. The owner of the property goes crazy. We're going to sue you. They call me up. What do you want? I'll take $20,000 a unit and I'll give them back to you. $5 million.
I mean, number one, he was at the right place at the right time. And also, he didn't twist nobody's arm to assign the right to him. Would I do something like that? No. He saw opportunity where for some reason these tenants didn't do their homework and see the opportunity they were giving away. He got it from insider information, basically. Only the tenants knew. It was between the landlord and his tenants. He figured out, well, if I can get over and take over the tenants' rights somehow, sell me that right. See, that's the thing people don't realize. Your rights are worth money. Everything's for sale. And these people, they took the money. It was smart for him. Did it fuck over how many people he got? If he got all the fucking tenants, he must be one smooth talker. There's nothing illegal about it, but it's questionable, because all these people should have benefited by having to leave their apartments.
That's kind of a moral gray area, which is why I think Ben Mallah is also so hesitant in throwing his weight behind it. The right of first refusal is basically a legal way to offer the property to the tenants first before it is listed on the market to incentivize them or give them a sense of security. And obviously, if there's news about the apartment is going to be converted into a high-value condo with the chance to buy those apartments, there's not a lot of people that sign away their rights for it given the potential at hand. Regardless, perhaps that's why real estate for the longest time has generated so many wealthy individuals, because no matter what property in real estate will always be in demand, and land is always a rare commodity. Sure, you may have different people offering different approaches to make money from it, like Ben Mallah, Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, or even Dave Ramsey, but it's certainly true that a lot of the market wisdom comes from exposure and experience over years. Let me know in the comments what you think, because it is important now to separate good advice from bad advice in the world of online financial gurus.